What's up, everybody? Long time no talk. My apologies. Business and life got a little crazy, but those are good things. April 7th here, Monday. We are 2.5 weeks away from the draft. I'm pretty sure. Figured I'd 2.5 weeks. 2 weeks from Thursday. Get on here and kind of do a little recap of the Bills free agent off-season part of the calendar. Talk about the additions a little bit. Talk about potentially what it sets themselves up for the draft. So it was a heck of a start to the legal tampering period. This is now going back to when Josh signed his extension. Kind of always felt that it was going to happen this offseason or summer or next. I was leaning more towards next year, but I mean, it was inevitable. So, like, who really cares when it was done? And yeah, kudos to obviously everybody on board because they, locked up the best player in football. And, it could just be one thing that they don't, not that there was ever a worry, right? Not that there was ever any inkling or whatever you want to call it. As Josh said, it's Buffalo or bust. And, he wanted to make sure that his contract gives them the flexibility, not just now, but in future years to, keep the roster competitive and compete and, championships, right? So, not a whole ton to talk on that. I mean, he went from the 13th or 14th highest paid quarterback to, he didn't, in terms of annual, he didn't, beat Dak, and now you're going to have Lamar wants more than 60, and we'll see what they do with Mahomes. But, like I said, kudos to him being the whole, everybody involved. They did a good job with that one. The other four were the more pressing, obviously, extensions. I'll touch on those first. From the latest with Christian Benford for was reported 76. There was a 69 number also floated. Nevertheless, again, he's like the 12th highest paid corner in the league now. So that's really good. I think the biggest just like question mark with him is hopefully he gets healthy. Not that he's had injury issues or whatnot in the past. The concussion obviously was significant when he left the Kansas City game and whatnot. He's been a little banged up here and there, but nothing significant. So hopefully his 4-year extension, those 4 years, he's, playing 18, 19 games a year. So that was a big one. Rousseau, another one that I just thought that came in under what I thought he was going to get. I think the Rousseau contract, because people say, well, Greg's not like an impact sack artist. And correct, right? I mean, he's not. He hasn't, in terms of that specific production statistic, he hasn't had those, 12, 13, 14 sack seasons. But what I think you're doing with that contract is you're betting that those are coming as he continues to mature into, again, you're talking about a 25-year-old player who has 4 years now going into his 5th year. So that's the hope. Greg is part of my yawn. I think it's just par for the course when I do these things. I yawn. Greg is a sound player. I mean, I think he's in terms of, if you want to call it 64 edge guys, right? There's two per team. If they run a 4-3, it's a whole different conversation. But I think he's in the top half of that. And I think again, you're banking on his age 26, 27, 28, that it's only going to get better from a production standpoint. So, and also hopefully they can add, which Joey Bosa, obviously this year, one of probably their biggest free agent non current roster guys outside the building addition, is going to be. And again, it kind of is this whole, if Bosa can be healthy, if he can play, even if it's 12, 13 games, somewhere in that neighborhood, but into the playoffs, right, and through the playoffs, he's one of the top guys in the league. I know but that's the biggest thing. It's when he's healthy, he's disruptive. When he's not healthy and still trying to gut through it and play and whatnot, he's not effective. So that's really anybody. But again, it's his thing is stay healthy. So like again, I don't. Obviously, he's going to play in September. Knock on wood that he's healthy and whatnot through training camp. But it's January. That's when I need you. Maybe down the stretch if which I don't think it's going to be if the division is close. But if you're competing for a 1-2 top 3 seed, yeah, we need you for those games, right? You play Kansas City on December 4th. Would love to have you. But really it boils down to I need you on January 28th and 20th and 12th, and then February whatever the hell it is this year, 10th, 11th, whatever it is. So anyways, so yeah, I was everybody that knows me knows my big thing this year was Myles Garrett, and he elected to I just throw away the rest of his career from a team standpoint, because obviously he's never going to experience the championship or anywhere close to that playing for the Cleveland Browns. I will never knock a guy for getting paid. What I will knock you for, and not even really take you seriously in terms of everything else that you potentially say for the rest of your life, is when you do what Myles Garrett did and say, well, I don't care about the money. It's not about the money. It's not about the contract. The extension doesn't matter. I want to win championships, and here's what I'm willing to do so. And then you go on that expedited for a good 3 or 4 weeks, and now you're the highest paid, or well, you were until Ja'Marr Chase got his contract, the highest non-paid quarterback ever. So good, kudos on you. You got your contract. Enjoy being 5-12 for the next 5 years. So anyways, Joey Bosa was probably in like that second tier of guys that it's like, hey, if you can get him on the right number, if you think that your staff can get him and keep him healthy, it could be extremely rewarding. I mean, he's a guy when he's healthy that the defense has to know where he is at all times. That's what he's been throughout his entire career when healthy. When healthy is the question, right? So, but what does that do to the others on the defensive line, right? Well, hopefully that singles up guys in the middle, or singles up Rousseau, draws attention away from Rousseau. Because I really firmly believe that Bosa is going to be, I don't want to say situational pass rusher, but I think more times than not, he's going to be playing more on second and definitely third down than he would first and then second down, depending upon the yardage, right? So, not from a lack of ability to stop the run, but just from a lack of, hey, we want to try and keep him healthy as possible. I think the way that our defensive staff, celebration, wow, okay, how they approach with the rotation and the whole thing, it's supposed to help guys and keep more gas in the tank longer. So we'll see. But Rousseau, yeah, again, one that I kind of thought maybe he was one that they potentially might be willing to go the tag route with, given his age, given that, okay, hey, 5th-year option, pick it up this coming year, well, next year, tag, you're it. Maybe even another tag, you're it. Now he's 27, and then maybe he's a bargaining chip, or if the production falls off, maybe you get him on a cheaper contract. But nevertheless, first and foremost, again, the biggest one, I shouldn't say the biggest one in terms of number, but the first one that they extended was obviously Khalil Shakir. Keep your mouth shut, work hard, you get paid, perform, the whole thing. It's exactly what he did. He did the opposite of the James Cook in terms of complaining. And actually, all these guys that have signed their extensions, funny how that works, haven't said a peep about, I want more money, I want to get paid X, Y, and Z per year, I want this, I want that, all this type of stuff. The googly eyes on Twitter and the countless social media posts and whatnot. Cook went to the Stefon Diggs school of contract negotiating, or just my feels, as they say. So, but again, huge congrats to Shakir. I mean, here's a guy that just does it the right way. I mean, you wish you could have 53 of them, right? You really felt this past season, him and Josh obviously gaining that more and more trust, and he's just a phenomenal football player. He's not the fastest, he's not the biggest, he's not the strongest, he's that whole thing, right? Go down that list. It's not Khalil Shakir, but he just finds a way to perform, to make big plays. You saw it all through last year. Is he going to be a 150 target guy? No. But he's a really good weapon for Josh in the offense as a whole. So, again, all these guys signed 4-year deals. And then Terrell Bernard, actually. No, not notes, pages. Here we go. Yeah, Bernard with obviously the 4-year extension as well. That was kind of a no-brainer. Again, didn't break the bank. I thought potentially if he hit the open market, he's another one. He's smaller, so he gets dinged up a little bit more. But from everything that you hear people talk about, and whether it's his teammates, the coaches, he's completely taken over that. This is my defense. I am director of operations, right? I line them up. I get us where we got to be. And again, hopefully over that 4 years, he can play a bunch of games, and we don't have to worry about this. Oh, hey, he missed half a season here and a month there, and type of thing. So yeah, some other moves that they made. Gilliam re-signed. Reggie Gilliam re-signed. We brought back our old friend Dane Jackson as he sits here as DB2 because they traded Kyrie Elam. Can't believe they actually found someone to take that pile of shit, but they did. And for a 5th-round pick, obviously there are swap of picks, but you talk about guys like your Benfords and your Shakirs, your Milanos, the list goes on and on and on of guys that they've drafted on day 3 that have become not only contributors but very good / star type players in those rounds. It's great to have that ammunition. So, again, you want to hit on them all. You never will. Nobody does. That draft class probably the best draft class we may have ever had, if you really boil it down as an organization. Elam was the miss, but you're talking about Cook, you're talking about Bernard, you're talking about Benford, you're talking about Shakir, you're talking about Taluda, Tanupa. Hang on here, I'm gonna get his name right. He's not on our roster anymore, and I don't even think he's in the NFL, maybe. But 2022 draft. Here we go. Elam miss. Cook, Bernard, Shakir, Ariza should be, our punter, but that's another story for a different day. Benford, Tenuta, I was closer. Then Spector's obviously carved out a role here. I'm not banging the drum for Spector, but again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of your 2, 4, 6, 8. 6 of 8. That's a good percentage of. They not only got, again, contributors or low end starters, they got high end starters / stars, right? I think that we can say that James Cook, if he continues to what he did last year, not that he's going to get 16 touchdowns every year, whether it's with us or somebody else, but I think that people are going to say, hey, he's one of the top 12 running backs in the league. Shakir, again, is he a star? No, he's a well above average player. Same thing with Bernard. Benford's statistically one of the top 3 corners in the league. You want to call him top 10? Fine. I'm not going to argue with you. But so that's a 6th round pick from Villanova. So again, back to what I was saying with the draft picks, getting those picks for an Elam, which again they wanted to dump the money, and that's what they did, being able to trade him. So that was great. So who else here on the list? We talked about. Them. Kendrick Green was a high draft pick at one point. They brought in a guard. Again, he's probably not going to even see the team. Get down here. No, why did they do that? Okay. And then some of the bigger. So they cut Vaughn, right? That was a big move just from a name standpoint. They didn't rule out a return. I think maybe that's something where I truthfully, in my heart of hearts, I thought that they were going to do the same restructure pay cut they did last year. And maybe they said, listen, Vaughn, go out and see if someone's going to give you $10, $12 million a year. Clearly nobody has yet. April 7th, things change. Vaughn might be one of those guys where he waits for another contender, and that contender has a significant injury to their defensive front, and him going to go sign with Washington. I'm going to sign with a Green Bay. I'm going to sign with a whatever, right? Or it's, hey, listen, you know what? I want the next 2-3 months off, discharge, disconnect. Let me get in here week 2 or 3 training camp, square up, and I'll sign with you guys 1-year vet min. As he said in the one interview he gave with Kay Adams, there's no other Josh Allen. There's only one Josh Allen. So you kind of know who he'd like to play with. And I would welcome him back. I think that in the right spot, and that's us, situational pass rusher. Yeah. I mean, he definitely, his pressure rates and all that type of stuff were decent down the stretch and into the playoffs. Did he have 5 sacks? No. But again, I think it's not a bad idea to have the player in the specific spot. You don't like Von Miller as a person, that's fine. I'm not going to argue with you. But I'll take Von Miller over Casey Toohill. Got news for you. So anyways, other guys we added, guys that I'm the one guy I'm super hyped about, and I think that he's got the suspension. Michael Hoyt from the Rams. I'm not going to take credit for it. A bunch of the stuff that I was reading and videos that I watched prior to free agency, Cover One had a bunch of it. This guy is he's all over the place. And he can line up in so many different spots. The versatility. I don't think I've seen anybody else say it, so maybe I'll hang my hat on this one. kind of reminds me of a Lorenzo Alexander type, no matter where, just a chess piece. Violent hands, very active player. Um, Sucks that he's going to miss the first 6. Maybe we can get that reduced to 4. But again, it's one of these. I'm going to say this probably a couple more times in this video, and September and October aren't our problems, right? We're fine. It's January and getting that January to go to February. That's when I need these guys, right? That's when I need these impact, difference-making type players to make plays to get to that next game. So, same thing with Larry Ogunjobi, right? Took a supplement, didn't know he was taking it. Shame on him. Like, and he, again, what I appreciate with both guys is they took full responsibility. Shit like this happens. They weren't fucking juicing up, like trying to bend the rules or hide no. 6 games. My view is that's less tread on the tires, right? You're talking about, you want to talk about your trade deadline in early November. 2 weeks prior, you're going to be adding 2 guys who are going to instantly come in and play for you. And again, the hope is to make contributions. So that I love that. I mean, that's fantastic. Your Javon Solomons, they're going to have an opportunity for a month and a half to really contribute. And if he doesn't, well, you have someone that can come in and, again, hopefully do what he did with the Rams. So, but love that move. 3-year deal for Hoyt, 1-year deal for Larry O. And what they said, they're asking Larry O to basically back up. Again, they're rotating, but be the other 3 tech, which is interesting because that's really Carter's role. So I wonder how they're going to position that. Maybe they get a little NASCAR package there on the inside, but so good addition there with both. Again, they need where that sets themselves up in the draft is defensive line. Because they don't need one, they need multiple. Daquan's going to be back, but they really, I'm not saying at 30, but they really need just a plug defensive tackle that's going to keep your linebackers clean. The whole the responsibility of that one tech is what they're missing at a high level, right? Daquan was like that pre-injury. He fell off last year. I don't mind Daquan being back from a rotational standpoint, being behind, but if I can get one of these 6'4", 5", your 325 to 350 type pound guys where it's just and he makes everybody's life better. I love if you can give me a little juice in the inside with a little rush, right? We'll talk about prospects maybe in a little bit and in a video now. So my plan is, I'm kind of big tangent. My plan is next week. 2 weeks, like the Tuesday before, Monday or Tuesday before the draft, to do a mock. One mock. We're gonna roll one mock, and then kind of talk about some guys there. But much ado, that's what they need to add to. So I think with who they've brought in, your Bosa, your Hoyt, your Larry O. All right, you still want to add 2 guys, right? I mean, Oliver, Jones, Carter are your 3 defensive tackles right now. That's who you've rostered. They didn't bring back Austin Johnson, Quentin Jefferson, Jordan Phillips. Those guys are gone. Who knows if there maybe a late June signing with one of those guys. I would think Johnson of all 3. Phillips has said it's Buffalo or nothing. If I play, I'm going to only play for Buffalo. So that's, who knows. He's not an impact anymore, really, right? I mean, he hypes up the crowd more than he does anything else. And then your ends, right? So you're talking Bosa, Rousseau, Hoyt, obviously, but Hoyt can also play on the inside, but also plays the outside. Epinesa, Solomon. So those are your four. They're going to carry five. And again, I think it's going to be like the Lorenzo, where it's, oh, hey, he's a linebacker this play. He's a rusher. He's an inside. He's an outside. He's a all that, right? Lions, Bears, Tigers, oh my, right? Tiger, whatever. So yeah, so like those moves. I don't think Josh Palmer. Let's not forget this. So Josh Palmer was the um, big was the more significant move offensively. Is he move the needle guy? No. Is he someone who I think can definitely contribute? Yes. Is he somebody that I think that we need in terms of just what we're missing in the room? Sure. He great, great, very good against man to man. Has the route tree, catches the football very well. I know they said that he had drops last year. He had 2 drops. That to me, that's not having drops. But so yeah, so I think, and I think what their thought is, everybody who plays with Josh gets better. So if Josh Palmer is that 2B type player, if you want to call him 3A, in that realm, does he become a 2A, 1B? Right? Does he become that guy that can have 75 to 90 targets, 900 yards, and 5-6 touchdowns? Is that where he's at, right? I would still like to add to that room via the draft. He signed a 3-year deal. It's really a 2 plus 1, and we'll see type of thing. But you have Coleman. Obviously, they're not bringing back Cooper again. If they do, it's going to be one of these July type things, late June's. Hey, we'll take you, a vet in the room type thing. They lost Hollins. I was disappointed with that. That was probably their most significant loss in terms of production. I mean, the guy produced for them, had 5 touchdowns. But the stuff that he does on special teams, who he is as a player, as a guy in the locker room, he's their most significant loss. So yeah. Anyways, Josh Palmer has some excitement there. I do. Very excited they brought back Ty Johnson. That was I was pounding the table. I've been pounding the table for him. He's one of the reasons why, if they did move off of Cook, I'm not sitting here saying that Ty Johnson's a 300 carry running back, but with him and Davis, I would assume they would draft one. Enter draft pick, whoever it may be. I don't think they're going to miss a beat. I'm not sitting here saying that Cook is not a very good running back. He is. Excuse me. I think he's a very good running back for us. I think a lot of James Cook, his successes comes from who he plays with. Who's in front of him, who's literally in front of him in terms of the quarterback. Our offensive line is one of the best in the business, especially running the football. I'm not taking anything away from the guy, but it's part of the reason why I don't think that they should pay him $15 million a year. And quite frankly, I don't think they should be anywhere north of 10. I think that's probably the highest number I would go. And quite frankly, I'm kind of all right, but a short deal, like 3 years, dude. I'm not giving you this 4 or 5 year contract. Not that they would. Not that really anybody signs more than a 4-year deal now, if you think about it. Quarterbacks and like edge guys, right? Even some of these, Stingley signs a 3-year extension. Is it 5 years total? Sure, but he had another 2 years left on his deal. Much ado. So again, I just with the way that the position is now shifting, right? We've seen this shift now for 2+ years, where running backs are becoming more and more valuable in terms of just running the football, because more teams are running the football. How we run the football, yeah, you're valuable, but at the same time, James, you haven't been on the field more than 50% of the time last year. You can't pass block. You have the dropsies. Talk about a guy that drops the football. So it's that's the whole thing with that is why. And again, I love the 2-year deal for Ty because I believe that he can contribute significantly for those 2 years, not just okay, hey, 1-1. And then again, you got a cheap rookie contract with Davis. You know, so does it mean like okay, hey, I'm gonna move off of Cook because that's gonna allow me to extend McGovern and sign Torrance next year, or I sign Cook. I have to let both those guys go in free agency and now enter new center, new right guard, and we've been through the fucking turnstile that is guard play for the better part of Josh's career. If you think about it, half of it, I would say, to where we finally have gotten it right with Edwards and McGovern, um, or excuse me, Torrance at guard. And that was one of my biggest things coming in last year was what is it going to be with Morse leaving and McGovern at center? That was actually one of my top question marks. Tyler Bass being the other one. And McGovern proved me wrong. Not that I doubted, but I was like, I don't know. That's a significant position. That position in football, when you have a good one, you feel it. When you have a bad one, you feel it. So I want the good one, right? Anyways, I'm gonna be missing some smaller guys here in terms of the Chenault. Laviska Chenault is finally a Bill. Guy that was mocked to us more ways than Sunday, or 7 ways of Sunday, as they say. Back in his draft. Does he stick? I don't know. Do they want another return guy? Codrington with Chenault, with the changes to kickoffs. Is that why they brought him in? He was a decent returner last year. Kick returner. I don't know if he even did any punts, but I would just have Codrington do that. McDermott talked about because of the changes in special teams, you're going to have more teams go with the designated like return specialists or special teams specialist type guys. So that's interesting. But who else am I? Oh, they signed the punter Robbins. Whoop-de-doo. I'm not thrilled. He was one of the worst punters in the league in 2023. But I think they missed one field goal, so he's a heck of a holder. And if there's anything that we know, is we need the holder. We need the holder. The heck with punting the ball. So that's your 32. That's your free agent breakdown. Thought it was a good plan. Thought that they added pieces to position groups that they needed to add to. I think they added contributors and even plus contributors to those rooms. And we'll see what they do here in a couple weeks. With the draft, having the picks that they have, being, basically, not that he showed his cards, but they're going to be going up and down in multiple rounds. What rounds? Who knows? Do they move back again like they did last year? Look, this is a very middle heavy draft in terms of like player 25 to 50, 60. That group of players is said to be like the cream of the crop. You can get some really good players that can come in and be day one starters that are they top talent, right? No. As a rookie, can they turn into that? Sure, anybody can. But so that's where it's great to live in that 25, and we have 30, 56, and 62. So where can we potentially move back? Do they move back to a 35, 38, 40 and pick up a third round pick? So now you have 4 picks in the top 75, say, where you can easily get, okay, we want to go 2 D-line, a corner, and a receiver. We want to go, right, you name it. It gives them the opportunity to add significant, young, cheap contributors. And when you're handing out these extensions, right? You're handing out these 3, 4, 5-year extensions with these guys. Majority of them signed 4-year deals. But Beans always said it's draft, develop, sign your own. That's their, always will be their plan. And for the most part, it's worked out. I mean, they've the guys that they've re-signed have been worthy. Again, Dawson Knox's contract is probably the outlier where it's like, man, the fall off in production was significant, but a lot of these other guys have worked out. Spencer Brown, obviously Dion, right? And your Milano got the extension. Trey White got the extension. So like Teron Johnson, I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. What helps offset that is having 2 or 3 second and third round picks play for 3 or 4 years on very cheap deals at starting caliber levels, because now it offsets. Now you don't have to feel like, oh man, I'm missing this position. I got to go out in free agency and pay, and all of a sudden that might mean I not be able to re-sign a guy. You get into that, gray area. So who knows? Do they know a guy or like a guy so much where it's like, you know what, we're going to take a swing. We're going to move 30 and a 2 to get up to a late teen and 18 and 19 and take a Mike Green, a Walter Nolan. Not that I think, who knows where he goes, but it's a guy I'm very high on. Him and Derek Harmon. I'll say that real quick. Walter Nolan, Ole Miss D tackle. Derek Harmon, D tackle. Oregon. Extremely high. Those would be phenomenal picks at 30. Plug and play, D tackles. Both can stop the run. Both different bodies. Nolan's lighter. Nolan's like a 310. 305, 310. Strong as an ox. Holds up very well against the run. Harmon's your big body. He's 6'5", 6'6", 330, 340 in that neighborhood. Just a great player. Impact. I think you're going to get that out of both of those guys. Your D tackle class is loaded this year. So it's, do I take one at 30 when maybe I can get one in the second or third round if they get a third round pick, but they have multiple 2s. I just say it because it's day 2. That would be the question. But again, I don't think they're going to go back to the cornerback round 1 well. I think that they should just look at their track record. Don't get me wrong. I do like some of these guys. Your Trey Amos's, I think would be a sound player for us. I like Ravel out of ECU. The ACL kind of scares me. He's long. So again, hesitant. I don't mind the kid out of Thomas out of Florida State. He seems more of like a press guy, which again, we went through that with Elam. We thought we could take a square peg in a round hole and put the playbook on the plane, and away we go, and it failed. But I would much rather take, knowing that I can draft 2 to 7, rounds 2 to 7, and I can get a corner. And does he play right away? Does he not play right away? Do I start a Dane Jackson? Potentially, do I add a Stephon Gilmore? One of these vets to fill the room. And I like Ingram too. I mean, I would give Ingram just as much of a shot as I would give Dane Jackson to be DB2 opening day. That's me. But anyways, yeah. So what I like where they've positioned themselves is they have options. I don't feel like they're sitting here saying, "Oh man, we desperately need this. We're going to overdraft because of that need." And now all of a sudden you're taking a guy who at 30, or maybe you move up a couple spots, 26, 25, and that guy might have been a 48th overall pick, right? And you do that. That's how you get burned. This roster is loaded, top to bottom, left to right. Again, do they have like star-studded talent? No, but almost at every position they have well above average starters. And when you have that coupled with the best player in football, you're going to be competing for championships every single year, barring health. That's it. That just the name of the game, right? So much ado. I'll end it there. 40 plus into this thing. So yeah. So next, excuse me. Next, look at the Cali here. 7th. Yeah, we're looking at like the 22nd would be a great day, or maybe the 23rd, day before the draft, to do a Maki here. So, yeah, we'll do that. I'll do the screen sharing. I'll do the PFF simulator like I did last year. Maybe I'll do one next week. Who knows? Maybe I'll do. I'm kind of thinking because those are fun. Who knows? Maybe I'll get a little early Easter gift, huh? He is risen. God bless. Actually, that was a perfect segue. I should have said God bless, go Bills. God bless, go Bills. See you then.